Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. The Expanse is finally back, and I am going to start a whole lot of videos with that line because I have written a lot of scripts on the show so far, and I have no idea which one I'm going to do first. Spoiler alert, this video is going to divulge plot details from the first 2 episodes of the 5th season of The Expanse, as well as from the novella The Churn, which details Amos Burton's backstory. So no yelling at me, I did the required spoiler alert. Yelling! Now, if you've gotten through episode 2 already, then you know that Amos Burton finally returned home to Baltimore. And damn, Baltimore has not gotten very far. And not just from when Amos left, I mean from 2020. It's got some cool electronic signs on the top of buildings, but other than that, it's still fairly neglected and run down. Well, if you don't feel like reading The Churn, don't worry, because Senor American Ben did. Well, I mean, I listened to the audiobook about 6 months ago. Does that count? Point is, I'm going to try and clear most everything up for you about episode 2 in this video today. Now to start, why the hell does Baltimore matter? And no, I don't mean in real life. Actually, despite its poor reputation, I personally think Baltimore, at least in the area around the harbor, is beautiful. Though when I said that in the video I did on Amos Burton, or maybe it was another video, a bunch of Baltimoreans chimed in the comments like, dude, Baltimore is terrible. So I'll leave it to them to judge their city in the comments of this video as well. Anyway, Baltimore is the city in which Amos Burton was born and raised. And as you might have inferred, it was not a great place to grow up. It was the type of place where you didn't choose a life of crime, it chose you. And for Amos, it was no different. Crime bosses held dominance over different sections of the city, and it was troubled kids like Amos who ended up carrying out dirty deeds on the boss's behalf, whether hit jobs, drugs and weapons smuggling, or other quote-unquote illicit activity. On the other hand, it was also a very corrupt city from the top down, and the police force, Star Helix Security, was no friend of the public, especially of unregistered denizens of the city. While being rife with crime, Baltimore was also a police state in a way, as we see hinted at in the show when a surveillance drone flies overhead. The term The Churn itself refers to the periodic crackdowns on crime that the police would carry out on the criminal underworld. No, it's what I do to butter. That was a stupid joke, right? I don't know, just came to me on the spot. You win some, you lose some. Amos, who back in Baltimore was known as Timmy, which is his real name, worked for a crime boss by the name of, you guessed it, Burton. This is who the character Erich in the show refers to when he says,
around here, there's only one Amos Burton. What the f*** are you doing, Timmy?
By the way, from now on, if I'm referring to the Amos we know and love, I'll just say Amos. If I'm referring to the crime boss, I'll say Burton. But getting back on track, before we get to Erich, we have to explain Lydia, the woman who was at the center of Amos's flashbacks during episode 2. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, Amos has no idea who his father is or was, and his mother died when he was just a small child. Amos had no one to watch over him when he was growing up. No one except for Lydia, who knew his mother, as both were prostitutes in the same brothel, a brothel that was owned by Burton. You'll remember that in season 1 of The Expanse, when Amos was in a bar on Tycho, he warned a guy who hit on him about a potential attacker, and then explained to Alex,
I grew up in places like this.
Well, now you know what he was referring to in that scene. He grew up in and around a brothel in which the sex workers were probably abused by men who faced little to no repercussions for doing so. Women like Lydia didn't really have much of a choice as to their profession or destiny. No one who was unregistered had much of a chance at a happy and safe life. And Lydia barely eked out a life between basic assistance, prostitution, and other illicit activities. However, she became somewhat of an adoptive mother for Amos, and also had sex with him. When he got a bit older, that is. Yeah, I guess that's a bit weird, but hey, Baltimore is a complicated place. Just ask Baltimoreans. The point of all this is Lydia meant a lot to Amos, because without her, he'd probably never have made it to adulthood, let alone out of Baltimore. As far as Charles goes, a character Amos meets in Baltimore in episode 2, he married Lydia 10 years after Amos left Earth. And the reason that Amos went to see Erich in the episode is that Erich owns Lydia and Charles's house, and now that Lydia has passed away, Erich wants the house back. And so Amos went to him to ask him to let Charles keep the place. Simple as that. So who is Erich? Well, he was Amos's childhood friend and a hacker who also worked for Burton. His disfigured left arm and limp are the result of a horrific beating he received as a child. However, despite his physical limitations, he was very useful to Burton as he could create fake IDs as well as other documentation. However, during one particular Churn or police crackdown, Erich left evidence behind which implicated him in crimes, and Burton feared that this could lead back to him. Thus, Burton ordered Amos to kill Erich, but instead, thanks in part to Lydia's guidance, Amos killed Burton, which in turn freed Erich from danger. In gratitude, and also because he couldn't use it because the police already had his DNA, Erich then gave Amos, or Timmy at the time, the identity he created for Burton that would have allowed the gangster to escape from the city in the case of an emergency. Thus, Timmy adopted the name Amos Burton and took off for Luna, where he would participate in a spaceship mechanic apprentice program. I imagine he took off in the same type of ship that we see take off in the distance behind Amos at the end of episode 2, which is also the same type of ship that Erich and Amos dreamed about taking off in as children while struggling on the streets of Baltimore.
You remember when we were just street trash? Sitting on the docks, watching the shuttles leave, wishing we were on them?
This is what that ship blasting off scene was a nod to. Oh, and as for why Erich threatened to kill Amos in the episode, well, this is explained in the dialogue.
Burton's fake ID won't hold up if you get arrested down here. It'll lead back to me. I've got a lot to lose.
Erich has beaten the odds and is clearly doing very well for himself. But if Amos has a run-in with Star Helix security in Baltimore, then his fake identity could be discovered, which would then lead the police back to Erich, who stands to lose everything he's worked so hard for. So he doesn't really want to kill him, but he will if he has to. So just imagine you're Amos and you've been through all of this. And years later in space, you're on a ship, the Rocinante, and some journalist shows up and starts carelessly digging into your past when she has no idea who she's dealing with or what you've been through.
I actually couldn't find any records of you on the roll. In fact, you don't seem to have any official government records at all apart from a birth certificate and a registered win with the apprenticeship lottery when you were 15.
You're probably gonna lose your cool at some point, and now you know why Amos did. Anyways, that should clear up most everything pertaining to episode 2, Amos, the Churn, Baltimore, and so on. If I missed anything, please mention so in the comments below. Do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our Expanse content coming soon. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.